Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Vladimir,
But now it's easy. Yeah, go ahead.
some of your back catalog that's on different labels that's not readily available. Do you have any
I know.
control over that where you can actually get that put out someplace at a different
I
company or do
I don't even have control over my cats.
no? So you really, or can you? Is there any way that you can go back to those companies and then see if they'll repress those, or how, there's really because you
Um,
have several records that are not even you can't even get them.
I
So
don't know
many
what
of them.
records you mean.
Well, like your first
See,
record, the very first one, the white one, you can't. As far I tried getting that, I can't. It's on. You really can't buy it
uh,
anywhere.
well, I think Savanos they released it, at least on the CD.
Yeah, I'm talking about on vinyl because
On vinyl, I don't think if it, I don't think they bother. If it's not a super seller, I don't think they. You could always check it out. I think they're online, so Atelier Savano.
yeah,
Uh, you can you can see. I don't know myself what they have. I know that White Knights came out. Well, obviously because you have it,
yeah, yeah.
but they also very stingy. They never gave me so many even CDs.
That's crazy when you think they
They're
would
not
send you
crazy.
them.
They're very tight. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They're not generous with that. They're generous when you are there in Japan, going out and when you go with them in restaurants and things like this. Then they are very generous. You can have what you want. But giving copies in the beginning they were, but then they learned that they could save. They don't need to give. They got more artists, so they don't want to spend so much money. What can I tell you? They're far away from me. I'm here. I can only ask. One time they didn't send me any of them. Then when I asked them, they said, "Oh, we sent you 30 copies." I said, "I never received them." "Oh, you must have received them because we sent." I said, "It's impossible because if they didn't reach me, they should come back to you, right? Because the post office they send it back to the sender if there was something wrong with my address." They said, "No, well, we give you something." Then they gave me like 5 copies, so something. I'm lucky if I have enough copies to give to musicians that play with me. So
right.
yeah, so
Yeah,
so
that's
that's the way we go in the music business. Music business, it's still the same thing. You know the story when the big ship, a tip like Titanic, sinks, and the only guy that survives is a bass player. He's floating on his bass, and finally he reaches Southport, New York, and it's a big thing. It's a big ship like Titanic, and nobody survived. He's the only one, and he comes to finally. They fish him out of the water and bring him to the to the harbor, and there are television and press, everybody asking, "What do you have to say for yourself as the only survivor of this tragedy?" He says, "Screw the music business."
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
And as they say,
yeah.
what the
F the
jazz
music.
musician?
I don't want to say that, but he said
Yeah,
stronger than
yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah. The and that's always the joke, right? The jazz musician doesn't eat, or the jazz musician can, they always say if you're a real jazz musician, you don't make any money. Or very, when you look at the whole history of all these, even the great legends, a lot of them were poor when they died. I mean, sadly.
Well,
Now some for one reason, or different reasons, but yeah, it's
well,
interesting.
Mozart was poor when he died.
Yeah,
They put him
that's
in a common grave. They buried him in a common grave.
yeah, it's not
Can you believe that?
yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy can play the piano upside down.
Yes. He did more than Keith Jarrett. He could play upside down, yes. And good too. He played
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
even upside down.
I like that the movie they did, the Amadeus movie. You saw.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course, of course.
they can-
Of course, yeah. But he was not famous for that. He was not. He of course he did tricks, but but the music he
Yeah.
wrote is so deep.
Incredible. Yeah. And nobody
Sometimes
can.
sometimes it's so deep because Mozart is, for many people they think it's like lightheaded, la la, dun, ta, dun, ta, 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 ta,
Yeah.
dun, la, ta, 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 ta. So, but I play some. I play some Mozart where it's so serious and
Right.
deep
Yeah.
and ahead of its time, like centuries. Some chords that are way ahead of Chopin, way ahead, Please, I mean, these people, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. The
Mozart is
funeral.
super
It's the
fantastic.
funeral one. The
Oh,
funeral.
the Requiem.
The
Oh,
Requiem.
it's my wife's and mine favorite music of all time.
You listen to that, and it's
You
yeah,
want to die.
incredible.
Yeah, you want the music to play when you die.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is
And
the music I want to hear when I'm dying.
yeah, and then it's amazing that you really don't have, and it maybe this could be a whole nother discussion, but when you look at how come people aren't writing that kind of classical music anymore, it's like all this modernistic kind of and some of it's okay, but it's not on the level of those guys. I mean, and the melody seems to be gone. Like people aren't writing good melodies. I mean, that's a whole have all the great melodies already been written? Of what.
You must be related to me, Matthew, because you are saying things that I'm saying. You're bringing up the same things I'm talking about all the time. I don't know how it could be because you are on the other end of the planet.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we're thinking exactly alike.
And I'm open to new things too. I'm open to new music. I will listen to a lot of it.
Of
And
course.
but yeah, most of it.
You
There's
have
some
to
good
give a
stuff,
chance to. You have to give a chance to new music.
but
But I
overall,
always
it's
go
not
back
the
to
same.
classics and jazz too. I always go back to classics and let me give you an example, okay? And don't feel bad, okay?
Sure, no.
Like
Okay.
this new record by Charles McPherson.
Yes, I like. I see. I liked it, but go ahead.
Okay, yes, and so I listen to it and I like it too. And he plays "Come Rain or Come Shine" on that record, okay?
Right,
Right?
right.
Come rain or come shine. So I went right back and put come rain or come shine. Sonny Stitt plays it with Quincy Jones Orchestra, and and this is like day and night, day and night. And
So
I
that
like Charles McPherson. I played
right.
with him, and he's one of the surviving,
Legend. Yeah.
great saxophonists. Yeah, he doesn't have anymore the fluidity that he once had, but he still plays great, and he sounds great.
Right.
His saxophone sound is nice, which many of today's saxophone players don't have. He still have that close to bird sound on the saxophone. But as I said, I went back to Sonny Stitt, not going to Charlie Parker, not,
Right.
but
Right.
went to Sonny Stitt, and day and night. That's what I do.
And you still prefer the old ones.
I go and compare because I want
right.
to know where I'm at.
Right.
I like it, but when I hear this is great. This is
And that-
good, but this is great. The
Gotcha.
way he can, the way he phrases the melody and everything, and just this. I don't know how much you appreciate or know Sonny Stitt,
Oh, I have a lot of
Well,
his
I think-
records.
but I think he's a living ant as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites too.
I think he's just super fantastic. He's guilty of making a lot of records, but most of his records are very good, especially when he has good rhythm section. And I can't explain it to people because they are into Coltrane and Wayne Shorter and Joe
Sure.
Henderson. Yes, and they're good. Of course, Coltrane is great. But, I mean, when he plays the melody, when he plays Stardust, or when he plays just a swing tune like Sunday, the phrasing they say so much to me. Just the way he plays the melody. Then he plays something in between the melody,
Right.
like, coming to the bridge, or in between, he would just do something like nothing. He would play the melody and then some phrase that he would just throw. Cedar does that too. He plays the melody and it sounds great, and then he throws something in between. I try to do this, of course, but not as successfully as they do it. It's just you know, it's not everyone doesn't appreciate that.
Right.
I don't think.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't go deep enough to this thing. You know, there was once many great tenor players at one point. Less so with alto. I don't know, it's difficult. I think alto is very difficult instrument. It's higher and it's you know, there's a considerably less great altoist. But when they're great, they're really great, like, you know, Cannonball and Parker and Sonny Stitt and, you know, Jackie McLean and Johnny Hodges and Benny Carter, you know, those guys, they, you know, and Willie Smith. Those people they were super great. Lou Donaldson, I played with him too, you know. He knew how to play melody, not only bebop.
Right.
He could play close to Johnny Hodges. He could sometimes play just like Johnny Hodges. Yeah, I sat in with Sonny Stitt. I don't know if you know that.
No.
Yeah, I sat in with Sonny Stitt. I came to New York. I gave him my record, that Live at Groovy record, my first record. Yeah, and you know, that one.
Yeah, that's the one we got to get back in print.
Him. They paid me with the record, so I used to have many copies to go around. It was like my business card.
Yeah.
I would come to New York and I give to everyone. I mean, not to everyone, but to all the musicians that I respected and liked. So all the pianists, they all got copies. So here I am, please. So then he says, don't you want to play with us? Where are you going? So that's the way when I came to New York first time, that was usual thing. People usually would ask you to sit in. You know, and so, yeah. The same was with Lou Donaldson. I remember we played Cherokee. He called. George Coleman. All of these guys. I could go around and sit in with everybody.
George Coleman's still going strong. He's still playing.
Oh, well, he's not strong, but he's going.
I mean, he's what, 86 years old? I mean, a lot of these young guys aren't playing as good as him still.
No, from a certain point of view, of course, he plays better. But he's lost a lot. He used to be... How can I explain George Coleman to you? George Coleman used to pump iron. So, and he was this demon on the saxophone, because he would go somewhere and he just played everything in super fast tempos, and he changed the keys. He made everybody look like amateurs. That was his goal. Sonny Stitt was like that too, but I didn't get to that part of Sonny Stitt, because when I got to know Sonny Stitt was already older and nice. But George Coleman, I got to know because he came to Finland and I played with him. And he took me through hell.
Really?
Yeah. You know, he was nice for a while. Then he started changing keys and do all kind of nasty things. And
put you on the spot, make you...
Yeah, but he was nice at the same time. He said, it's okay, you know, you can practice for a year and you'll catch up with all these things. He told me I would be better off in New York than I would be in Finland. So he was supportive at the same time. Right. He was cutting at the same time and supportive at the same time.
Well, but that's good. That's
I know.
That's some things that people won't do anymore, is tell you something that you need to hear, exactly. Right? And they're afraid.
I think he still does it. When he's in a good shape, he could do that. But now he's not in a good physical shape, so he doesn't challenge other musicians the way he used to. Now he's trying to play, survive, and encourage younger musicians. Now he's like an older statesman, so he doesn't do. But in my time, I see him challenging everybody. He would come in Bradley's, him and Memphis Mafia. We called them Memphis Mafia. Him and Harold Mayburn and a couple of other guys. They would come. Last set in Bradley's was like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And that's what they would come. They would sleep all day and roll out of bed in the in the early hours of the, and they would come to Bradley's and they would challenge you. They would challenge you even without playing. They would just sit and look at you and like, do it, come on, yeah, do something, impress us. Sometimes he would take out his horn and challenge you directly. I mean, when I'm saying you, it doesn't have to be me. It could be
Right.
Kenny Barron or George Cables or somebody else. If he's in the mood to challenge you, he will. Because there are so many things you can do to challenge. Just change the key. If you play Body and Soul in D flat, which is usually, I remember one time he wanted to play at night, late at night, last set. He wanted to play Body and Soul, but he wanted to play it in D major.
Yeah.
So the piano player, whose name I'm not going to mention, he says, "But George, this is the last set. We already played so much, and this is whole week I was playing. I'm so tired. Can't you just play it in the regular key?" And he says, "If you are a jazz musician, you would know how to do that." And they almost came to blows. You know? Yeah. So in a way, it's good for you.
Right.
I know it was good for me because I went and practiced, because he played Cherokee in every different key and he went up and down and, in this tempo.
Yeah. So if you.
Yeah. So, sometimes musically you question that, why he has to do that, but that's what he wanted to do. He came up in Chicago, and Chicago was a tenor saxophone town, and they all challenged each other, and Sonny Stitt was there. He challenged everyone. Yeah, he scared everyone. Johnny Griffin told me when he played and Sonny Stitt would come on stage and he felt like he didn't know anything how to play. That's Johnny Griffin. You can imagine.
You get challenged to something, and
he didn't know anything because Sonny Stitt would overwhelm him so that he felt like he knew nothing.
That's funny.
So yeah. So now we have lucky people because I look. They keep sending me stuff from Smalls and other clubs, and I see every night they change different people. They're playing with their bodies. Nobody's challenging them. They don't go. I don't know how jam sessions are being held. I don't know if people are challenging each other. I don't know if they're allowed to have iPads or telephones. Are they looking at the phones when they play? I don't know if that's allowed. In my days, that was not allowed. You couldn't bring any book on the stage if you're on the jam session.
Yeah. We have a jam session here in Birmingham every Tuesday night that's held by actually this guy here, Jose Carr, which is actually a documentary that I made on him that we're actually screening at the Alabama Jazz Hall of Fame.
Oh,
He's
yeah?
a trumpet player.
Yeah, I can see that.
He hosts a jam session. He's very good. He's pretty good about running everything. If you don't know the tune, he'll tell you. If you get up there and play one time and you don't know the melody, he'll tell you, like, don't get up on the stage if you don't know the melody.
Fantastic. I want to be there.
He will. So he will. He's very nice about it. He'll tell you. He told me that when he was coming up, some of the people he played would walk up and take the trumpet out of your hand right off the stage and tell you to get off. He doesn't do that. He'll tell you after you're done. He'll say, "Man, you got to know the melody." Or he'll get on the stage and he'll tell, if you don't know the melody, don't come up here. Know the tune. So his house band. He has kind of a house band there, a bass player, drummer, and a keyboard player. He'll allow them, if someone calls a tune that they don't know, he'll allow them to pull that up on the phone for the chord changes. He will allow that because if they don't know it, they're not going to be able to play it. But other than that, yeah, it's well run, and they.
I don't approve. Approve
so how would you do it if the person had if the host band doesn't know?
In New York, you had. I was a part of a house jam session band both in Birdland and in Blue Note. So you had basic rhythm section, but there would be people behind you, And I mean, other pianists, for example, if you don't know the tune, there were other guys that were ready to take your place. They just waited. I was one of those guys, hungry. Sometimes I would come to the session before I was in the band. I would come to the session and wait for the singer to come in, because that would be a real test for a lot of piano players. Because the singer would come in and say some tune in some different key, and the piano start looking for it. And I just waited for that. I said, let me do it. And there's some famous people that I did it to, and I got all the respect afterwards.
Right.
Because some people are locked in what they play, and they do some great things, but they like in certain keys and certain tunes. But if there's something different, they cannot do it so well.
Right.
So I was ready to take over. So finally I worked my way to a house band, because I could play many tunes, and I could accompany singer and change the key more or less successfully. I mean, nobody can do everything, but
right.
But so if you have many musicians, of course, if you have limited amount of musicians, but we didn't have telephones at that time, so
right. Yeah, you see here in Birmingham,
Nobody brought the fake books to the jam sessions.
Yeah. There's no fake books. No one's bringing those. But at the Birmingham, here in Alabama, jazz is not. You don't have a lot of players a lot of times. So a lot of times you have that same rhythm section. You'll have a saxophone player that gets up there and goes, "Oh, I'm going to play this." Then they'll be like, "Well, I'll maybe pull it up and we can play it."
It's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same.
Other than that, their songs now, what Jose calls now, he's got a pretty extensive repertoire that he'll call, and then people will get up there. That's a lot of it, and they know those. And if the person that's coming up to play, so if he calls Lee Morgan tune Candy, right, he'll call that. And then if someone gets up there and just tries to noodle around and they don't know it, he'll be like, "Man, you don't know the melody. You got to go learn the song and then come back."
But melody, it's half away, because somebody, if he knows the melody, he can play it. But if they know the changes,
right, the changes too. You're right. Yep, he does bring that up too.
So that's the worst thing. If they don't
know the
melody,
changes, and you're off.
They can scatter around melody, but if you don't know the changes, then you're out.
Yep.
I used to work with Eddie Lockjaw Davis. And Eddie Lockjaw Davis was a police guy at the Minton.
Oh, really?
Minton Playhouse in New York. And he told me that he would get on the stage. He's a big guy. And he was chosen to be like a policeman on the stage at jam session. And he told me he would get many well-known people, he would get off the stage if they didn't know the tune. He got off Horace Silver. He threw him out of the jam session because Horace didn't know some tune that they were going to play. He said, sorry, you have to go. Horace Silver. It can happen to everybody if you don't know the tune and they wanted to play it. And you kind of faking it, trying to stumble around. He said, you're getting in the way of good musicians playing,
Right.
So, but I had this schooling. I had piano lead slamming on my fingers.
What? Really?
The saxophone player, he slammed. Luckily, I took it off, but he did.
Yeah.
He slammed because I was playing some bullshit. I didn't know the tune. I was trying to, I couldn't play. I mean, it was radical, but you learn your lesson.
Right. Yeah.
I was young and cocky, so I would try anything,
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a good place.
I don't know now in retrospect. I don't know if he was right or wrong.
Right,
I don't remember even what tune it was. I don't remember why. But obviously, I probably was not doing what I was supposed to do. So,
yeah.
But it was so long ago, I can't even remember. But I remember that he slammed.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Jose's a little bit nicer than that, but he will say something, and he will definitely.
Good. He sounds like a guy I like to know.
Yeah. He's
fun. There's a guy up here in Finland that would like to play with him.
Yeah.
He sounds like a guy to know.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun going to this
kind of thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what.
Yeah.
Say what was that?
No, just the other night we played here, and the gig here on the island. I played with the singer, and then the third set is what they're doing here. Is a jam session.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we had different. We had like 3 or 4 different singers coming up.
We have some singers here too. This is like a 3-hour jam session every Tuesday night. They start at about 7:30 and go to 10:30, and they
week.
play all the way through. And then also, you get to see these young players that come up, and it's been going on. I've been going for about 3 years, and you'll see them get better and better. And even if they get told to go practice and they come back, the ones that can take that and then come back, they improve. And he'll say, man, what are you playing 5 choruses for? Solo, man. You ain't saying nothing. You come up, play 2 choruses and get off. The other people are going to play or whatever. And then you'll see that they'll start.
It takes a strong person to be able, both physically and musically strong, to be able to tell these people to don't do that. You have to be. I used to run session. Sometimes they would let me run session it was an afternoon in Village Gate. So some people try to take advantage, and I had to tell them off. That was a good session, actually. It was an afternoon. Visiones also had another club. They also had afternoon session on Saturdays, I think. So that's like more comfortable,
Yeah.
Except Visiones, one time they tried to. I had this one guy, he came from Finland to visit me, a bass player. So I took him to that session. And they tried to charge us.
Oh.
I said, are you kidding? Even though it was $5 only, I said, we came to play. You're getting entertainment for free. And I'm a good player, and he's a good player. So you'll get good music for free, and you want us to pay? I said,
Right.
I'll play for free, but I definitely
not going to pay. Yeah. Not going to pay to play, man.
So
Yeah.
somebody came off the stage, some of musicians that I knew, and said, it's okay, let him come. Because, people who run session, they're interested in the good musicians to come to play.
Right.
When I came to New York in Blue Note, Ted Curson, who's a good friend of mine, he ran late night session in Blue Note. So I played with him a lot. I used to know him from Finland because he was like a mascot in the Pori Jazz Festival. He was one of the first Americans, if not the first American, to come to play at the Pori Jazz in Finland.
Oh, really?
So yeah, he did every festival for like, I don't know how many, 30 or so years, maybe more.
Interesting. Yeah.
Maybe 40. From the very beginning, he was there. So he used to come a lot to Finland. So he was a friend of mine. And so when I came to New York, I knew that at least I can play with him at the late night at the session. Then we would go someplace for bagels, hang out all night. That was New York.